It's with great pleasure that I welcome you to the 28th annual Thomasville, Thomas County Sports Hall of Fame Awards Banquet. We appreciate you being here to celebrate with our inductees and our student athletes tonight, our young people, and I know it's a thrill for them to have so many family and friends around. So now as we move on to the recognition of our student athletes of the year, several years ago we announced the renaming of this award in honor of the gentleman sitting to my left, Mr. Bill Rainey. As one of the founding members of this organization, Bill has chaired the Sports Hall of Fame Board for over 20 years. But more importantly, he has lived a life as a role model to young people in this community. And tonight we have the privilege once again to recognize some outstanding young people. Trust me when I say that we would be here all night if I told you everything that they were doing, because their resumes are really impressive. But our young people tonight will officially be receiving the Bill Rainey Student Athlete of the Year from their respective schools, one male and one female from each school. These were nominated by the athletic directors at each of our 3 local high schools plus Thomas University. Also point your attention out to the criteria for which they were nominated from. And the criteria says this: an individual who has made outstanding contributions to his and her team while displaying strong character, leadership, and community involvement. These young people you're about to meet are tremendous representatives of their schools. They are leaders on their teams, they're leaders in their school, they're leaders in the community. They excel on and off the field of athletics. Their names have been engraved on the plaques to your right over here on the corner for all to see at the YMCA. Those will be permanently displayed at the YMCA with our Wall of Fame. We're just so proud of these young people that we're going to give you an opportunity to meet here in a second. Students, when I call your name, if you will go ahead and come up together, the both of you, if you will come up together, we're going to brag on you for a second or two, and then we're going to ask that we take a photo with you over here by the signboard to your left. Our first group of student athletes this year, 2022 Bill Rainey Student Athletes of the Year from Brookwood School, are Kendall Boggs and Destin Moore. Kendall Boggs is the daughter of Shane and Krista Boggs. She's a 3-sport athlete: softball, basketball, and track. In softball, a 5-year starter, 4-time all-region performer, including 8 career home runs. She was a member of the 2020 basketball state championship team. On the track, she finished in the top 10 in state in the 100-meter hurdles this last year. In the classroom, Kendall is a 4.0 student, member of the National Honor Society, a FCA leader, volunteers her time with the children's ministry at the Gathering Church. And next year, Kendall will be attending Emory and Henry College in Virginia on a softball scholarship. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a hand for our Brookwood Female Athlete of the Year, Ms. Kendall Boggs. Destin Moore is our Male Athlete of the Year from Brookwood. Destin is the son of Jasmine Ali. He's a 2-sport athlete in football and track. On the gridiron, Destin was an all-state performer for the Warriors his junior season. He broke the Brookwood single-season receiving record as a junior with 1,018 yards and 14 touchdowns, including a 272-yard receiving game against Westfield in the state playoffs last year, which set a single-game receiving record for Brookwood. This season, he leads the Warriors with 41 catches, 8 touchdowns, and is on track to have back-to-back 1,000-yard receiving years. His 93-yard touchdown earlier this year against Stratford Academy was named the WTXL Play of the Week. He's pretty special on the track as well, where he is a two-time state champion in the 100 meter, including, get this, a best time of 10.7 in the 100. That's getting it, folks. Also, the reigning state champion in the 200 meter event. Off the field, Destin is involved in Brookwood's Senior Buddy program, where he mentors a Brookwood first grader. He also displays his musical talent. You didn't think I knew that, did you, Destin? As a member of the school chorus, he attends church at the Family Worship Center in Cairo. He is currently undecided on his college future, but has multiple scholarship offers to play ball at the next level. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Brookwood's Male Athlete of the Year, Mr. Destin Moore. Representing Thomas County Central tonight are Ikeria Hill and Campbell Smith. If you will come forward. A female student athlete of the year from Thomas County Central is Ikeria Hill. Ikeria is the daughter of Margaret Hill and Tracy Herbert. She's a standout runner on the Yellow Jacket track team. As a 10th grader, her 4x800 relay team won region, and she made it to state in the 4x800 and 4x400 relay events. Her 10th and 11th grade season, she won back-to-back region titles in the 4x800 relay and earned another trip to state in that same event. She has twice earned the Academic Scholar Award for her team, and her junior year won the Miss Yellow Jacket Award for the track program. Off the track, Ikeria is a member of National Honor Society and the National Beta Club. Over her high school career, she has a 3.7 GPA and has maintained a 91% average. In addition to all that, she volunteers for Backpack Buddies and Shop with the Yellow Jacket program. Ikeria is still undecided on the college, but I have no doubt she will have options with that kind of resume there. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in congratulating our Female Athlete of the Year from Thomas County Central, Miss Ikeria Hill. Our Male Athlete of the Year from Thomas County Central is Campbell Smith. Campbell is the son of Ben and Leah Smith. He is a two-sport athlete in football and soccer. On the gridiron, Campbell is a 4-year letterman. As a kicker for the Jackets, he earned the Envision Scholar Athlete Award and the Great American Rivalry Scholarship Award this past year. Campbell also shines on the soccer field for the Jackets as a center back on defense. He's been an integral part of the team's back-to-back region championships, was named honorable mention all-region as a junior. Campbell's academic and extracurricular list is impressive, to say the least. We'd be here all night if I told you everything that was on his resume, but here's a few highlights. National Honor Society, Chick-fil-A Leader Academy, FBLA, Key Club, semifinalist for Governor's Honors Program in Chemistry, AP Scholar with distinction. And if that wasn't enough, he volunteers at the polls on election days to help people register to vote. Next year, Campbell plans to attend the University of Georgia. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please give a big hand to our Male Athlete of the Year from Thomas County Central, Mr. Campbell Smith. Representing Thomasville High School are Peyton Harrell and Bryson Jones. Our Female Athlete of the Year from Thomasville High School is Peyton Harrell. She is the daughter of Brand Harrell and Marty Barrow. She is a 3-sport athlete in cross country, soccer, and volleyball. Every coach will tell you how valuable it is to have team-first players. A player that sacrifices for the good of the team. Peyton fits that billing. In soccer, she was voted her team's defensive MVP last year and Region Defensive Player of the Year. She was first team All-Region in both soccer and volleyball as a defensive specialist. There's a pattern here, folks. Her coach, Kelly Fitzgerald, said this about her. What sets Peyton apart from others on the field or court is not always her skill level or stats. It is her effort. Peyton will run through a brick wall for her teammates. It is kind of the running joke among her coaches and teammates about how often she gets hurt or how many bruises she has, but that is a direct reflection of her effort. When she's not competing, Peyton is a member of the National Honor Society, carries a 3.95 GPA. Among her honors, she received the Iron Dog Scholar Athlete and was awarded the highest GPA on her soccer team last year. She is also an active member of the church youth group. Next year, Peyton plans to attend Troy University. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a hand to our Thomasville High School Female Athlete of the Year, Miss Peyton Harrell. Our Male Athlete of the Year from Thomasville High is golfer Bryson Jones. Bryson is the son of Brian and Amy Jones. He is a highly decorated amateur golfer. As a junior golfer, he was named the Georgia PGA Junior Player of the Year in the 14 and 15-year-old age division. He is the two-time defending state champion in AA and will be going for a third title in the spring. Bryson is currently the 5th-ranked player in Georgia for the class of 2023 and ranked 9th overall in the state. He recently set the course record at Glenarvan Country Club with a competitive round of 63, which is pretty sporty. In the community, it's okay, clap, that's fine, yeah, I will. In the community, he is in the Youth Praise Band at First United Methodist Church, member of the National Honor Society, carries a 3.93 GPA. Bryson has signed a letter of intent to play college golf next year at Georgia Southern University. Our Male Athlete of the Year from Thomasville High School, Mr. Bryson Jones. Our final two student athletes representing Thomas University are Yana Pastorik and Jason Porowski. Yana Pastorik, she is a senior soccer player from Normerland, Germany, majoring in business management. She is a 2-year team captain, 3-time Sun Conference All-American, All-Academic Team, an NAIA National Player of the Week in 2021. In the classroom, she has been named to the President's List 6 times. In 2021, Yana was named to the United Coaches Association All-Academic Team. She holds a perfect 4.0 GPA at Thomas University and will graduate next month with her degree. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a hand to our TU Female Athlete of the Year, Yana Pastorik. Jason Porowski is a senior defender for the Nighthawks, hailing from Newport Richey, Florida. As a junior, he was a first-team all-conference defender. Jason's coach said this about him, quote, "A strong leader who puts everything into everything he does, a true warrior." It should come as no surprise that Jason was voted team captain. He carries that same mentality into giving back to the community. He's been involved in community service all 4 years at TU, ranging from hands-on Thomas County to serving at local nursing homes and hurricane and tornado cleanup efforts. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a nice hand for our Thomas University Male Athlete of the Year, Jason Porowski. Ladies and gentlemen, it takes a special person to become a member of the Thomas County Sports Hall of Fame. The purpose and the criteria for the selection of this honor can be found in your programs tonight. At this time, if you are a previous inductee of the Sports Hall of Fame, we'd like to ask you to stand so that we can recognize you. The community has nominated, and the Hall of Fame board has selected another outstanding group of inductees. We look forward to a brief response by each inductee and encourage you to visit with the inductees after the banquet. At this time, I'll turn the program over to our co-MCs, Mr. Bill Rainey and Mr. Randy Young, to introduce our inductees.
Each of our school's football programs have names that are somewhat iconic within them. For Thomasville High School, William Andrews is the name that comes to mind. For Central, Charlie Ward Jr. And for personal experience, I can tell you that for Brookwood, the name Herbert Butler is up front and center. When I was a student at Central back in the late 70s and early 80s, I had the opportunity to attend quite a few of the Warriors games, and Herbert was the man on the field and the court for Brookwood. He was so much stronger than anybody else. He would run over anybody that got in his way, and if he got a crease, he would outrun everything else on the field as well. Set a single season rushing record in 1980 with 1,429 yards, and more impressive than anything, signed a scholarship to play under Bobby Bowden at Florida State. But for me personally, the memory that will stand out about Herbert Butler, more than anything, happened on the basketball court, and it wasn't at Brookwood. Word got around town that he and some other guys were going to play a pickup game at the local YMCA. And some of the other guys included Jeff Putman, who was an all-star guard here at Thomasville. So this was a legendary get-together. It was short-lived because the first opportunity Herbert got his hands on the ball, the lane opened up, he took advantage of it and launched himself for a slam dunk. The backboard at the YMCA was not designed to handle the force of Herbert Butler, and it shattered into a million pieces. In no time flat, now this was in the age before cell phones, in no time flat, everybody in Thomas County had heard what had happened, and in the pre-Shaquille O'Neal era, Herbert Butler became that guy locally. Thankfully, there was only one small cut, a wound of honor, but the legend of that moment still lives on today. He is one of the greatest athletes to ever wear the blue and white of Brookwood. Our first inductee, Mr. Herbert Butler. And I think we're gonna, yeah, he'll have, his award will be accepted for him. This is Herbert's mom.
I'm not Herbert Butler, but I'm speaking on behalf of Herbert. He asked me to share a few words with you. He wants to thank the board, the Hall of Fame, and his parents more importantly. He said to be considered for this is just an incredible honor. To be an inductee, he said it took a little luck for him, but he made it across that finish line. And he said, considering what I might say today, he said, I'm going to say a few things that you may or may not know about Thomasville. He said, my work has taken me around the world. He said, I've spent great time in the Far East, in Europe, in the UK, and in Greece, and all over the United States. He said, in the words of Johnny Cash, I've been everywheres, man. So he said, I grew up in Thomasville, and I left when I was 18 after high school. He said, I'll be 61 in January. So I've spent the bulk of my life, or the vast majority, outside of Thomasville. He said, that's given me an opportunity to look with a unique perspective back at Thomasville. A prism, if you will. He said, I get to compare it with all the places and people I have known around the globe. He said, when I viewed through this prism, Thomasville stands unique. Sometimes I think it's only when you're away that you realize how very special and truly special this place is. So what's so great about Thomasville? He said, I've been given 2 minutes. He said, if I had 2 hours or 2 days, I wouldn't scratch the surface. He said, The one thing that really stands out about Thomasville is you, the people. He said Thomasville is that very unique community, and it makes it something you can't find anywhere else in the world, no matter how far and wide you travel. And I'm going to read this verbatim. So he said, that's what I want to say. I am forever grateful to you, to the people of Thomasville, for the privilege of growing up here, to make friends here, to learn here. And short of my mother, it is singularly most responsible for the good that is in me. And to my last strong breath, I will be forever grateful. Thank you.
Y'all, I will tell you, having talked with Herbert, it was very, very important to him that his mom have a picture made with his plaque. Our next inductee was a guard on the Thomasville High School basketball team, played center field on the baseball team, and served as manager on the 73-74 football team. Richard Cook seemed to have always been involved in the Thomasville High School athletic program in some fashion, especially football. When it came time to celebrate the 25th reunion of the 73-74 state championship and the 74 national championship teams, who got the call to help get things rolling but Richard? He contacted athletes. He sent requests for information needed to order shirts and caps. He arranged a meeting place at Ruby Tuesdays, and he followed up on all the details. At the close of the event, he asked some of the players, how often would you like to celebrate? Their response was, about every 5 years. Well, you guessed it. After the 25th reunion in 1999, Richard has spearheaded reunions in 2004, 2009, 2014, 2019, and today he's looking forward to the next one in the near future. That's Richard Cook. It should be pointed out that the players on these teams that we're talking about developed a very special bond while playing together, a bond which has lasted over these years. With all the issues involved with total immigration going on at the time, these players have experienced a love for each other that still exists today. Richard is an instrumental part of that. Richard has also been involved in many worthwhile community activities through his membership in the Lions Club, where while serving as president, and the Thomasville JC, he's also serving as president. As a JC, he earned the JC of the Year recognition, and he also received the highest award given by the JCs, the distinction of becoming a Junior Chamber International Senator. Even while being involved in his business and community, Richard's desire to be around Thomasville High School football took him to the sidelines, where he became a member of the chain crew. Several of his cohorts are here tonight to support him. For many years, his role has been to carry the down marker, referred to by officials as the box. The role is significant in that the person carrying the down marker sets the point at the determination of the official where the chain is placed to determine 1st and 10. The next play from scrimmage cannot take place until this act is done. In a hurry-up offense, many times this person has to sprint to the point determined by the official to give the offense a chance to quickly run the next play. The ball cannot be put into play until this act is done. Richard is that person. A man who has been an official officiating area football games for over a decade, who has served on the chain crew for almost 40 years, who has been involved in our community and serves as a positive role model for others. Our next inductee is Mr. Richard Cook.
Thank y'all for being here tonight. I have my family here, Mary Cook and Madison Cook, and our daughter Camille Cook had to go back to the University of Georgia. She was downstairs tonight, and she really was disappointed that she had to go back, but I wanted to recognize her. And also my brother from Norcross, Georgia, is here. My sister and brother-in-law were supposed to be here, but they became ill, had to back out. I do want to thank the Board of Directors for selecting me as the Hall of Fame. It's a great honor. I'm blessed. I'm humbled. There's many close friends here tonight that are here to help me celebrate, and I appreciate them being here. I've been passionate and involved with sports in Thomas County most of my life. 1971 was a special year for me in sports. I went out for the Douglas Middle School basketball team. Coach Andy Jones was our coach. Approximately 50 guys were out for the team. And it's always a great feeling to see your name on the list on the coaches board that you made the 15 cut, which I did. So that was a great accomplishment. And from that day forward, I try to do my best in everything I do. I did play 9th and 10th grade basketball, 11th grade baseball, and the start of my senior year, I went up to Coach Hughes and I said, Coach, I'd like to go out for football. He quickly answered a resounding no, you'd be better off as a manager. So you know how Coach Hughes was then. 1974 was a special year for me also. I was the manager of the 74 State National Championship football team. There were many duties, making dog aid. Seemed like we were constantly making dog aid for the players, getting it out to the field, this, that, and other. Taking a box of tools, fixing helmets, cleats, chin straps, and that sort of thing. One of the duties also as a manager was picking up all the dirty jocks and half t-shirts and pants and jerseys and socks and whatever went in the middle of the floor. So we got all that up and did the washing and drying of that. A couple of mishaps that I'll share with you. I was actually washing, the half t-shirts, the jocks and the socks and this, that, and the other. And somehow there was a red jersey got involved with that washing, and guess what happened? All of a sudden I got pink half t-shirts, pink socks, pink jocks, and everything was pink. So we just threw it out on the table, and of course that was my era. But anyway, there was another one. There was a Sidewinder washing machine that we used there. And at home, if you missed something, you could always go around and throw it in the washer and, just lift the lid up because it was topped and throw it in there. But anyway, I didn't think anything about the Sidewinder and had missed a sock or something and went to open the door, and of course water went everywhere. And here comes Coach Hughes about 30 seconds later, just kind of stumbled through the water, ankle deep, and said, he blessed me how to look at it, how that is. Anyway, got all that cleaned up. So, I was a part of the Touchdown Board of Directors in 1999. I was asked to do the 25th anniversary of the 74 State National Football Team. And I did so. It was a lot of work, but we had a good time. And like Mr. Rainey said, there were 5 years. So the 30th, the 25th, the 30th, 35th, the 40th, the 45th, and we got the 50th coming up here in a couple of years, 24. So I've been busy with that. You know, after the 25th anniversary, we invited the 73 team. I was a Georgia high school baseball official. In 1980, I started at Valdosta Association. I never umpired football in my life. I played midget football and got hurt, and that was the end of my football career. And Coach Hughes kind of put me right back in my spot when I went out to the 7th grade. But anyway, so from 1980 to 1992, I called balls and strikes out and saved for area teams. But I did start in Valdosta, had a year in Atlanta Baseball Umpire Association. And 1982 to 1992, I was here in this area. Moving to the chains, Jim Rayburn invited me to join the chain crew. Don't remember the exact year. I'm saying the 85, somewhere along in there, 84. But I've been doing it ever since. Ellen Harris did 57 years. I'm at 37, so I don't know if I'll go another 20 years or not, but we'll see. It is work. You have to keep your head in the game every single play, especially if you're running the down marker, first, second, third, and fourth down marker. Because you have to go when it's time to go. If there's a 40-yard pass, then you have to go 40 yards within 30 seconds, pretty quickly. Briefly, I want to mention in 82, I joined civic work, basically. Joined the Lions Club, joined the JCs. Later joined the Exchange Club, and I'm incredibly involved in 3 of those organizations. That kind of concludes my program, and I just will leave you with a few words. Did I miss thanking the board of directors? I think I may have, but anyway, I want to thank the board of directors for putting me in the Hall of Fame. Peace be with you. I've enjoyed being inducted tonight. Thank you, and God bless. Safe travels.
I've been blessed to call Central's football games on the radio since 1986. And over that time, one of the main catchphrases and themes for the Yellow Jackets is something that we call the heart of the champion. Quite simply, it means that despite whatever odds you're facing, you simply find a way to succeed. Our next inductee is the literal living definition of it. And I'm often asked about the origins of that phrase, and you're about to hear it. In his senior season at Central, Dondell Green was not supposed to be a star. After all, he was 5'0", weighed about 185 pounds or so, wasn't the fastest guy on the field, and was far from the biggest guy on the field. But after starting that season with a 1-5 record, as the season moved along and Central started putting together a 9-game win streak that would eventually lead to a state championship, it became very clear that much like his team, Dondell Green just overcame the odds. Before the season was over, his senior year, he had over 1,000 rushing yards. And in the state championship game against previously undefeated Peach County, his grit and determination helped the Yellow Jacket offense pretty much take the game over as the game closed down. And he carried the team on his back to close that game out with several first downs. It was during one of those moments and one of those carries when 3 or 4 of those huge Peach County guys had a hold of number 30 and couldn't hold him, and he carried him for 6 or 7 yards. It was the first time that term, the heart of the champion, had been used in association with Central football. Because you can measure weight, you can measure height, you can measure strength and speed, but you can't measure heart, especially the heart of a champion. And now, a respected leader in our community, with the heart of the champion, it's my pleasure to introduce to you our next inductee, Mr. Dondell Green.
It's a great honor to be here tonight, and thank you, Randy, for the great introduction. And I just want to thank God, who's ahead of my life and who I serve to this day. So I just want to give him thanks. And also, my family is here with me. I have my mom here, Patricia Jenkins, my sister, Rhoda, and my brother was supposed to be here, but it was on Thursday, so he had to you know, he had to work tonight, and I have two of my kids here, Quan and Cornice. They was able to make it, and two of my other kids, they couldn't make it because, again, they had to work because they thought it was going to be Thursday. You know, so that, you know, but I see a lot of family members here, a lot of friends, my coach, people that I train, you know, and work with. You know, I thank y'all all for being here tonight, you know, to be here with me and everything. So I just, again, I thank y'all for that. And also, not the most important part and my backbone, my life, my beautiful wife, Jennifer Green, is here with me tonight as well. So thank you, baby. You know, they say it's three sides to every story. They say it's three sides to every story. Okay, one side, the other side, and then the truth. Okay. Well, one side is that you know, my teammates. Without my teammates on that football field, man, none of this would be possible. Those guys blocked for me. We had a family. Those guys, I mean, just did everything. They made my job easier. They made Dondell Green on the field. The Dondell Green on the field. They made me. I mean, because they blocked, they did everything the coaches asked them to do and everything. So, especially the offensive line, there's no how to get those yards without those guys. Or whatever. Also, the coaching staff that was there, man, they drilled us, they helped us, they were just like a father figure to us, and they helped us, you know, to get through it, you know. And I see a lot of them here tonight. You know, I had Coach Ward, Coach Connor, and Coach Coleman. Those are some of my first football coaches. You know, that taught me how, you know, how to run the ball and how to catch a ball and everything. You know, so I just thank God for all of them. And I went on social media and thanked a lot of them because they only gave me a couple minutes to speak. So, so I went on social media and just thanked a lot of them before I got up here and stuff, so they know who they are and everything, you know. And then when it came down to wrestling, you know, in meds, we just, I mean, if you pick somebody up and dump them on the head, you won. So, but when I got in wrestling at Central, we had to go by points and everything like that. I didn't know anything about no points. You know, so I thank Coach Wilhelm for teaching me how to, you know, how to wrestle and how to, well, I knew how to wrestle, but I didn't know anything about points. You know, so, I thank Coach Wilhelm for just teaching me how to do that, and all my other teammates that I had, you know, again, to help me with the wrestling part. So again, that's one part. The other part was my family. The family. My mom was the biggest cheerleader out there for me. She was going to be out there. She was going to be cheering. She was going to have the stands rocking. You know, and she was going to be one of my biggest supporters. You know. And then I had my dad. My dad, man, he was a true yellow jacket. That joke was what. Man, I remember at the Stevens County game, we had to run that game in the last second, you know, and we had made a big pile in the end zone. And, you know, and I'm at the bottom of the pile, and everybody cheering and everything, and then I look up, I see my dad on the pile. You know, he was cheering, talking about, we won, we did it. So that memory will be with me for the rest of my life, you know. I'm sorry about that. My dad, I couldn't be here tonight. For a couple of years ago, he passed away with complications dealing with COVID. So, but I know he's in heaven right now just cheering. We won, we did it. So, again, I thank God for him. You know, I thank God for my sister being here tonight and my sister and brother with their part because, man, my mom, after school, she gave us chores to do, you know. So, I never came home after school. I was always in sport. So they had to do my chores. And boy, did they let me know. They let me know about 30 years later, my brother still talked about that. He had to do my chores. But as y'all can see, it paid off, you know. So thank y'all. You know, and again, so and my family just been so great to me, you know, over the years. And again, that's one part. The other part, and then, sorry I'm speaking fast, but they only gave me a couple of minutes, so I got to speak fast. You know. And then the other part, the last part, which is the truth. The truth is, it was all part of God's plan. I mean, I just had to line myself up and put myself in God's plan and then do it the way He wanted to do. You know, when I was in middle school, me and my family moved away to Beaufort, South Carolina. And my mom is right here, so she can tell you that this story is true. I was in middle school. We moved away to Beaufort, South Carolina, and, you know, I was like, man, Mom, I got to move back to Thomasville. I got to move back. We got to move back. And she was like, why? I said, because we're going to win the first state championship, and I'm going to get a scholarship, but y'all not going to have to pay for my school. You know, so mind y'all, we had some great people that came through here, Charlie Ward and all them there, and nobody never won. And here I am speaking as a middle schooler talking about we're going to go back and we're going to win it and everything. So my mom, I guess God touched her heart, you know, so she allowed us to come back. And we came back, and man, broke my leg first year back. Another year we went 1-9. I mean, won one game the whole year. I said like, okay, God. I mean, okay. And then my senior year, like Randy said, my senior year, we started the first 6 games. We only had won one game at that time, or whatever. So we started off the season 1-5. So I'm sitting here thinking like, God, did I hear from God or did I hear from the devil? I mean, like something. This ain't going to plan. This just don't feel right. You know, just don't. God, I know, but. There's a but. There's always a but. It said, trust in the Lord with all their heart. Lean not unto your own understanding, but acknowledge him in all your ways, and he should direct your path. And I knew God had touched me and wanted me to move back for some reason. So that's why my mom allowed us to do it. I knew I was on the right path. It just things wasn't lining up. You know, I just didn't understand it. But I said, okay, God, just keep grinding. So that's what we did. And I'm not saying that I caused us to win the state championship or everything like that, because my teammates did it too. But I talked to them and I explained to them, man, we got this. We got to do this. Or whatever, just that. My parents don't got the money to send me to college. We got to figure this out. I had a coach, talk with Coach Pilcher, and I was like, man, Coach, we're going to turn this around. We're going to do it, and he'll tell you to this day, I told him that. We're going to do it, Coach. And we went on, and when, I trusted the Lord, and I just kept working, and next thing you know, we won the state championship, And not only did we win, my parents did, I went on to Georgia Southern, my parents didn't have to pay anything. So everything lined up perfectly, like by me just staying focused, trusting God, acknowledging who he was, and just keep fighting, or whatever. I don't know what God's plan for your life, or for any of y'all life out here, but I just tell you, stick to God's plan, whatever it is. I'm pretty sure he has talked to each and every one of you at some point, and y'all know God's plan for your life, or whatever. Just line yourself up in it and just keep fighting. Just keep fighting, stay in the fight, or whatever. And that's basically all I did. And that's what I'm doing now. And I know my time's about up, so I'm about to end it. About all the things, all the accolades and everything that I've talked about, and Randy said, I hope that y'all enjoyed that and everything, but most importantly, I hope you remember this one part, that what makes Dondell Green happy is seeing other people happy, is seeing other people blessed. My son asked me that, Quantavious asked me that one time, what makes you happy? And I told him, seeing other people happy, knowing I can be a blessing to someone else, or whatever. So that's why in 2008, I started a nonprofit organization called Joshua's Promise. And I was just trying to tell the young kids, look, God will be with you wherever you go. God will be with you. Just like he was with me, he's with you. Just like he promised Joshua, he'll promise you the same. He'll give you the same promise and everything. So again, Joshua's Promise is an after-school program that we have in Meigs. We started in 2008. We serve about 35 to 40 kids every day. We feed them. We help them with homework and tutoring. We help them. We go on mission trips. In the states, domestic and out of the country. So we do a lot with those kids. And one most important thing that we do with them is that 39 kids have came through the program that's been seniors. And out of those 39, we have gotten 31 of them into college. So that's the kind of stuff that I want to be remembered about. The touchdowns and all that, that's fine and all that, but the work that we do at Coach I, athletics, we just pray with kids, we pray with families, and what I do with Joshua's Promise, that's what makes Dondell Green happy and everything. And at the end of the day, all I want is God to say is, well done, my faithful servant, well done. Thank y'all, good night.
Our next inductee is Mr. Ben Tillman. Ben has served our community as a fireman, an instructor of firemen through a program at Valtech, as a teacher and as an administrator. But Ben is an exceptional basketball coach. Ben was assistant coach for Coach Tyrone Kellogg on the Thomasville High School boys basketball team. He worked as a fireman and coached at the same time. When Coach Kellogg stepped aside, Ben took over. He worked many hours to perfect his craft as a basketball coach. When discussing how he became such a successful coach, he said, I took it upon myself to learn from the best. He read, watched film, got in his car and drove to different places to watch other winning coaches coach their teams. And he said, you learn from the best, and you play the best, and you wait on the results. Ben developed a relationship with Coach Leonard Hamilton. He's the head coach at FSU, and his assistant coach, Stan Jones. They allowed Ben to attend practices, and he watched them teach the game to their players. He observed the different schemes and techniques they used and the relationship they developed with their team. He often developed an approach for the game that proved to be very successful. He became the head coach in 2007, and over the next 15 years, he amassed an overall record of 317 wins and 100 losses. An outstanding 76% winning percentage. And during his tenure, his teams made it to the state playoffs 15 times. They were region champs 8 times. He was selected the 1AA Coach of the Year 8 times in 15 years. He made 2 state championship appearances. His Bulldogs played the perfect game in 2018, becoming a AA state champion by the one-sided score of 66-31. I will tell you that the score was 41-10 at halftime. Ben, it's nice to go to a state game and relax. During his 15 years as coach, 21 of his players received scholarships to play in college, and 4 of those were selected to play professionally. Ben had a passion and a love for the game and those he coached. He dedicated himself to developing young men physically and mentally and spiritually, and showed them the value of setting goals and working hard to achieve those goals. Ben has led his team to volunteer and serve on many worthwhile projects in our community. A firm disciplinarian, yet the ultimate encourager, still serving as a role model for others. Our next inductee is Coach Ben Tillman.
Wow. It's kind of hard to sit back sometimes and think about where you have traveled. And so to hear him read these different accomplishments off means a lot. To be able to be selected by such a fine group of men from a committee that has worked hard and diligently in Thomas County, to select this humble kid from 1222 Tom Street in South Georgia, over on the south side of town. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's been a good ride. I want to say thank you to my wife, who I met in this very hallway. And we high school sweethearts. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to be able to offer up what God has asked me to do. You have to understand that as a coach that you give up a lot. And you have to understand that you have to have some support. And I want to say thank you to her, because she's been there all 15 years of head coach and 7 years as an assistant. Thank you to my brother, my aunt, and all of my family members that's sitting over here. Thank y'all, because you guys have been my steroids. When I feel like I'm gonna waver or feel like I get shaken, I pick up the phone and call my brother. It used to be where I felt bad or had some issues, I would pick up the phone or go to my dad's house. My dad passed away several years back. My dad wasn't a person of conversation. So if I lost a game and I went to my dad and he didn't have very many words to say, he would ask me one question: did you win? Say, no, Dad, we ain't do it this time. He said, well, you gonna win the next one? Like, yeah, I think we're gonna win the next one. He said, okay, Dan. All right, anything else you need? So that's my father, but that's my family has been my steroid. Then lastly, I want to thank my coaches. Because without coaches, parents, and your supportive network, you won't make it. You can't be a genius of a person that has all knowledge. You have to surround yourself with great people. You have to be able to lean upon those people to be able to give you advice, especially in the heat of battle. So I had some phenomenal coaches like Coach Kel Angry, Coach Sean Jones, Coach Terry West. I had some phenomenal coaches, like even Coach Tyrone Kellogg on his telephone. I had some phenomenal support, like Joe Coleman and all my 20 friends that come to the games. I had some phenomenal support for all of those guys that sat in the cue corner that's gonna tell me whether I was right or wrong. So I had some support. But let me tell you what made me do what I do. In all motivational speakers, we always hear the term of you got to find your why. You have to find your why. Your why is your passion, your drive, the thing that make you go. But I want you to think about that just for a minute. We're talking about 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 16 and 17-year-old kids that don't know what why means. They don't have a why. They don't understand what passion is. So my job as a coach, coming from South 1222 Tall Street, that wasn't given an opportunity to play a sport, my job was for me to help them to understand and to believe in this term, why not you? Why you can't do it. I don't understand. If you stand on your 2 feet, God has blessed you with the energy, the ability to be able to breathe his air. So my question as a kid, why can't you be a basketball player? Why can't you go to college? Why can't you be successful? That was my why. Because when I looked at those kids, I saw me. That's what drove me. That's what made me build relationships with Coach Hamilton. That's what made me build relationship with Coach Stan Jones. That's what made me build relationship with Nolan Richardson. Those guys gave me a purpose to help me to understand that I just wasn't coaching basketball. I was developing men. I was developing the next father. I was developing the next uncle. I was developing somebody, the next preacher. I was developing the next fireman. I was developing the next soldier. That's why I love what I do. Because those are the things that count. The wins are great. If you were to ask me last year this same time how many wins I had, I'll tell you to ask my wife. Because I didn't know. I didn't keep a record. I never kept a record. I kept up with the number of losses. I never kept up with the number of wins. And the last thing that I'm going to say to you tonight, this is from my mother. To thine own self be true. If you can understand that one simple phrase, to thine own self be true, which means I got to be true to myself first before I could demonstrate what truth is to someone else. To thine own self be true. For all you all that supported me, that came out to the games, that experienced a death clap, whether you was on my team or you were against me. The death clap was something serious. And let me explain what I mean, and then I won't sit down. The death clap is, we had a rule. After every 5 stops, because that's how I calculate. We had 5 stops. 5 stops and 5 scores. I asked the coaches, what you think that other coach gonna do? Oh, we gonna call timeout. And you'll see me coming out there on the court like this right here. I'm pumping my fist because I know I got it. And then I'm gonna instruct them kids. I said, when you go back out there, we're gonna break out this huddle real quick. And you go back out there, I want you to start clapping. I want you to let them know that when they step back out here on this court, that it's on. And then I'm gonna start clapping. And then I'm gonna start hollering. And then I'm gonna start doing like this to motivate the crowd to start clapping, to start hollering, to start banging on the floor. And when you look at your opponent's eyes and they still in the huddle and they start turning around, looking around, you know that that's game over. You know that 41-10 at halftime is believable, is accomplished, because you have changed the dynamic of a person's mind to say, I don't know if I can do this. So, with that being said, thank you all. Thank you so much for giving this little boy from Tom Street, Ben Tillman Jr., an opportunity to coach your kids, an opportunity to represent Thomasville and Thomas County, not just in the Hall of Fame, but in this community. If you can ever do anything else for someone else, I would love for you to be able to do this. Teach them something. One thing that they can put in their tool belt that they can have for the rest of their lives. Thank you.
Jason Hurst started his athletic career. So many of the athletes in here similarly playing at the YMCA and T-ball. He grew up playing every sport the Y offered, from football, baseball, basketball, and soccer. Football and baseball were his favorites. He was coached in both of the sports by his father, Jeffrey. When he went to Brookwood, Jason was a standout 3-sport athlete. He played football, basketball, and baseball, and he excelled in each one. He was named All-Region for each sport 3 years out of his high school career. That's pretty sporty. In football, his senior season, he passed for over 2,000 yards and was responsible for 26 touchdowns, named All-State in his senior year. He was team MVP for Brookwood in football, basketball, and baseball his senior year. And the outstanding senior athlete, that's a shock, for the class of 2000. In 2019, he was inducted into the inaugural Brookwood Athletic Hall of Fame class. He initially played basketball on scholarship at Jacksonville University before he transferred to Georgia Southern, which clearly fit him because he had a .380 batting average. That's pretty sporty. Ted Williams-ish. He was captain of the team, earned first team All-Southern Conference as a senior, batted .392 with 10 home runs, 25 doubles, 60 RBIs, and 15 stolen bases. He would go on to sign with the Boston Red Sox, played minor and independent leagues for 5 years, but now he's giving back to his community through his efforts as owner, director, and owner and director of operations and head coach at Hard Knocks of Dothan, which is a premier baseball facility that focuses on youth training development. And he also serves as an assistant baseball coach at Enterprise State Community College, a true athlete in the truest sense of the word. Please join me in congratulating our next inductee, to Jason Hurst.
It's been some hard acts to follow today. And in fact, I know several of these guys. I used to train with Dondell, and if you listen to Dondell speak, it's not hard to figure out why he excels in working and training young people. Mr. Cook, I was the head football coach for 7 years. I can tell you that you don't give yourself enough credit, because a quality manager probably has as much to do with what goes on out there in the football field as anybody. And Coach Tillman, my dad was a little more he liked to talk a little more after losses than yours, but we'll get to that part in a little bit too. No, it's an honor to be here, guys. I'm grateful. I've spoken as a coach at banquets and in front of teams and large groups a lot of times, and for whatever reason, I kept having some nerves about speaking up here in front of everybody today. And what I was able to go to, guys, every other time I've had emotions involved, it didn't really matter what I said. It was just how I said it. And some of these coaches out there, I see Coach Shaver and a few others, Coach Tillman, it's really just how you say it. All right, it's because they knew where my heart was at. It was coming from a place of excitement and being all in and everything else. So I hope today, if I don't say the right words, that you'll know where my heart's at. And that's just a place of extreme gratitude and being very humbled to be here right now. So I still feel like I should be the kid, and Charlie Ward and Mike Bobo and Danny Copeland and all those guys are the athletes. And I'm just the kid watching. I see Coach Bob's over there too. You see Coach. And if Thomas University basketball, baseball, whatever it was, I was there. I could never get enough of sports. I remember me and my dad and my mom, I think, we went up to Stevens County to watch Thomasville High play, and I didn't know if Mike was going to be here, but one thing that stuck with me forever was him warming up on the sidelines as the 9th grade quarterback to go in to throw the Hail Mary if they needed it. And I never forgot that. I was just like, Dad, why are they about to put this kid in who's never played? And they're like, well, he's got a cannon. He's just going to launch it. And I don't think it called for that, but those kind of things stuck with me forever. I want to say thank you to the board of directors, to the Sports Hall of Fame, to the Thomasville YMCA itself. There's so many great coaches that have come through. Thinking about some of them, my dad and Daniel Young's dad here. The funny thing is that if I'm not mistaken, we had a T-ball team and it got picked and there wasn't any coaches. And they said, somebody's going to have to coach this group over here. So my dad and Daniel's dad said, we'll do it. And then they ended up doing it for the next, I think, 15 years. Coach Jimmy Mitchell, Wiley White, the list goes on and on. And those guys might as well have been like, Belichick and Tomlin to me at that time. I thought those guys were a big deal. And I think it's important that we keep the youth sports in the community, not just at the travel level. I mean, some of the greatest friendships and relationships I have were from youth sports here in Thomasville, and some connections that I don't think I would have made otherwise. So I think it's important that while the travel ball and the select basketball and whatever it is all the craze, that we still really push to have our leagues within the community. Sports is a place that doesn't really see political lines, it doesn't see color, and it's just, I think keeping that in the community is a great place for our nation to continue to heal. I've got a huge team here tonight. My 3 sisters unfortunately couldn't make it. They were going to be here Thursday, but couldn't make it. But I do have a lot of family here tonight, and I appreciate that. Every great player has a good team, and I've always had a great team and a lot of support. Most importantly, my parents, Jeffrey and Cindy, right down here in the front. Thank you guys so much. So I'll tell you a little bit about me as an athlete, okay? And just to correct you, I certainly did not play basketball in college. That would not have been pretty. I did play baseball. I did play baseball in college at Jacksonville first and then transferred over. I don't see Danny. Is Danny Copeland here tonight? I don't think he's here. So when you're an athlete and you're aspiring to go to the next level, it was explained to me later that really and truly we're checking boxes. Okay, are you good enough to play at the next level? Well, let's say, is this guy an outfielder? Can he cover the ground? Can he hit? Can he throw? Can he do all these things? And I checked every box as a player except for the speed part. I moved well. I moved very well, but we're talking about professional baseball here and elite speed for a professional athlete. And that's when Danny had just retired, I believe, and was back in town. And we got together, and I worked with Danny, and it just forever changed me as an athlete. I mean, Danny kind of taught me that It's not personal. It is what it is. You got to run this number on the stopwatch. If you do, you're going to get scholarships and get drafted. If you don't, you're not. And that always just stuck with me. I've been traded 3 times, released 4 or 5 times, and signed several others. And there's something about going back to my training with him. I was always able to understand it. So Danny had such a huge role in me as an athlete. So I want to say thank you to him. So I was a late bloomer. I was an average player growing up, and you know, maybe a little better than average, but it was really junior, senior year when I started to take off. You know, I was working with Danny full time. Mike Gear just came to Brookwood. He was killing us in the weight room. And so I was starting to be able to check all those boxes. Went to a showcase down at Florida State, ran a 6.58. It was the second fastest time out of 180 people there. So that box was checked, and immediately started getting a lot of interest from professional scouts and scholarships, etc. And I don't think I would have had the foresight to do that myself. So I thank Danny and my dad for setting that up and seeing the box that I had not checked yet. And for me to move on, I was going to have to do that. So from there, I went on to Georgia Southern, and first 2 years I sat on the bench and didn't play a whole lot. And once again, I was kind of at a crossroads in my career. And honestly, I had fully come to terms that I was not going to play professional baseball. That was a cute childhood dream, but wasn't going to happen. And so I went out, I won the starting job junior year, broke my hand in the first game, and I was able to sit back and reflect on things. And I said, you know what, this isn't going to be the end of it for me. I think I can have a plan. In this year of medical redshirt, I can regroup and I can attack this thing differently. And when I did, I hit 390 that year, 392 the next year, and then signed professionally. And all of that stuff happened because of the mentality that I got from Danny and because of my team. Great support with our team. Let's see. As I continued down the road of playing, guys, my work ethic was really my biggest asset. Okay, down the line, it proved to be what was 100% my best tool. You know, starting here in Thomasville, I was fortunate enough to go on and do things, but nothing like the places I was able to see because of sports and because of baseball. I played for a team based in Cincinnati, Evansville, Indiana. In fact, the League of Their Own, if you've seen that movie, I played in that stadium. It was my home stadium one time. Port Charlotte, Florida, Grand Prairie, which is a suburb of Dallas, and Atlantic City, where my manager was Cecil Fielder, who could hit a ball a long way. And I'm proud to say I did not gamble $1 up there. I wasn't making enough to be gambling any up there. So it took me a lot of places that I wouldn't have been able to do. And it led me into my career today, which is I own a facility, I work and train with kids. I'm an assistant at Enterprise State, and then I'm also part of an agency, and we represent 6 professional baseball players right now. And my time as an athlete is what allowed me to do all those things. You know, the thing I feel like I went through enough bumps in the road. I just try to steer the guys I coach away from it. There's certain inevitable struggles and inevitable bumps, but if I can help them stay away from stuff that they can stay away from, then that's where I see as my greatest asset to these kids. I'm absolutely sure I've left people out. I just want to say thank you. I'm deeply humbled. Very grateful to be here once again. My parents, thank you very much. My team, my extended family over here, my sisters that could not be here. Just thank you very much, and it's truly an honor. Thank you.
Our final inductee has the distinction of being the 3rd member of her family to be inducted into the Sports Hall of Fame. Laurie Bobo Young is an outstanding athlete, a fierce competitor, a teacher, and the ultimate volunteer. As a sophomore, she was a member of the Thomasville High School girls basketball team that reached the state semifinals. During her junior year, the team reached the Elite 8 in the state. After that year, things changed for her. Being the daughter of a football coach sometimes means moving becomes part of your journey. In her senior year, Laurie and family moved to Floyd County, Georgia. At Floyd County, she was a standout on the girls' basketball team, being selected as all-region and all-state, and she helped lead her team that year to 25 wins. After high school, Laurie attended Shorter College, where she played small forward for Coach Vic Mitchell. Again, Laurie was a standout, being selected all-conference her freshman year. While at Shorter, Laurie held the unique distinction of leading her team in rebounding, not only her freshman year, but every year. Yes, she led her team in rebounding all 4 years that she played. As a result of that, she had several double-doubles, which meant she knew when and where to make the best pass to her teammates after the rebound. When asked, how do you lead in rebounding all 4 years? She replied, you have to want that ball more than anyone else and out-hustle and fight for it. Did I mention something about her being a competitor? Laurie began teaching in Bremen, Georgia, where she served as assistant basketball coach and head tennis coach. During her time there, she was also selected as Teacher of the Year. But in 2015, Laurie and family moved back to Thomasville, where she began teaching at Herbert. Laurie soon became very involved at the Y. Laurie seems to have spent some time at the Y before moving to Armucci. She started coaching young girls basketball. Let me qualify young girls basketball. By young girls, I mean 6 years old and younger, and 8 years old and younger. She said working with that group was a unique experience, or something like that. In 2021, she coached her 8 and under girls team to an undefeated season. In 2022, she and Coach Gloria Robinson requested from the Y leadership that they be allowed to reach out and compete against stronger competition. The 8 and under team entered the Georgia Parks and Recreation Association tournament to be held in Warner Robins. She and Gloria assembled a group of 8 and under all-stars and went to the tourney. The girls advanced through the tournament, and they reached the finals against a team from Calhoun County. This marked a first for a team from our YMCA. The Calhoun team was very good, and our girls trailed at halftime. However, our young team came back to defeat Calhoun and become the first Thomasville YMCA 8 and under girls basketball team to win the Georgia Parks and Recreation Association State Championship. Well done. Laurie has also coached 8 and under and 10 and under girls softball. She's very active in her church at First Baptist. She teaches in Vacation Bible School every year. She's substituted on Sundays morning when a teacher is needed. She serves on the church vision team. She's very involved in fundraising for the cancer kids who attend Herbert. Rayleigh and Presley. She is a true role model for others. Our next inductee is Laurie Young.
Good evening. We moved to Thomasville, it was a while ago, 1982-83. I was in 2nd grade. We moved right next door to Wiley Grady. So if you move next door to Wiley, you're going to join the Y. It's automatic. And the Y was really my first experience with sports. I was a cheerleader for my brother's team. I took baton lessons. I was in gymnastics. Wasn't really good at any of it. I tried basketball. I think that was my 2nd grade year, but I didn't really love it. And did a couple other things, and my mom kept going back to, probably need to give this basketball thing a shot. And she went to Gloria, and Mr. Bill mentioned her earlier, but she went to Gloria. Gloria worked with youth in the area. She worked for the Parks and Recreation Department. And she said, Gloria, we got to do something about girls basketball in this community. We got to figure out how to grow them. So Gloria went out and recruited some other people. Gloria found a man named G. Meesterwood, Michelle Petrie, Watt, Susan Taylor Crawford, and they all got together and we formed just a little team. We were 5th graders, and never really played anywhere, never really played much basketball at all. And they decided that there really wasn't girls basketball in South Georgia at all. So they decided, similar to what he was talking about with this past year, they decided to send us to Brunswick. We did. We went to the Parks and Recreation State Tournament in Brunswick, and we were really excited. We were like, yes, we're going to go play in the state tournament. And go over there, and it was not pretty. We got destroyed. But it really, even after that game, I remember losing, but not feeling really defeated because we had so much fun doing it. We had great coaches that were working with us every week. I was working with some great people. Jason's sister played with me, and a bunch of teammates that I ended up playing with for years and years and years. But that kind of really got the ball going with girls basketball in this community for years. My mom started coaching our Douglas team when I was in 6th and 7th grade. Margie York was hired that year. She's in the Hall of Fame. And really kind of got the ball going with girls basketball. If you played for Margie York, you know her expectations were nothing but the best. Fundamentals first, always. Everything that she did was to perfection, and that's how she taught about the game of basketball. We played, I think when she came in, they had probably won 5 games that year. The next year they won 15. My freshman year, we won 15 ball games. My sophomore year, we played the state championship. And really just kind of grew the game of basketball. And then that led to, and I was not on those teams, but that led to some other people, some other girls basketball. They won 2 state championships in a row a couple years later. And I went on to Shorter, and I taught in a bunch of different places, and met my husband Daniel, and we decided to come back home. And in 2015, we moved back to Thomasville. And my daughter and my son, Walker started playing 6U basketball at the time. And like Mr. Bill said, 6U basketball is a lot like herding cats. It really, really is. And if you've ever coached 6U basketball at the YMCA, you are not only coaching it, you are refereeing. At the same time, you are running up and down the court and trying to put them in their place of where to go. It is nuts and crazy and fun all at the same time. You've never seen kids more excited when they score than you do at a 6U basketball, because it's probably just luck that it went in. But super fun. And my daughter comes along, and she's playing 6U basketball, and she played in kindergarten, 1st grade, and then 2nd grade came along, and she transitioned, and they go to a bigger court, they go to a higher goal, and I went to Gloria, and I was like, Gloria, we got to do something. Gloria's working for the Y at the time, and I said, Gloria, we got to do something. We got to do something about girls basketball. I said, Copeland's the only girl on her team, and just like I was 35 years ago, and she's the only girl on her team, and like, I know she's probably going to like basketball because she loves basketball, but all these other girls that aren't playing, they might not ever play again after they don't touch the ball all day. So Gloria and I decided that we were going to find some people to play girls basketball. So we started calling. And the first year that we did this was 2 years ago, and the first year we had 18 girls. We had 3 little teams. We played each other every other time. We were playing the same team, and every single girl on those teams got better. and it made it so much fun. You could see the growth in all of them. They were so excited. They were so excited for each other. And then last year, we doubled in size. We had 6 teams. We had a little more competition. And Laurie and I went and we said, okay, let's bring it a little further. So we created that little all-star team. And I went we won Warner Robins with 0 expectations. I said, oh, it's gonna be fun. We might get destroyed, but it'll be okay. Let's go see what it's all about. And we go up there, and right before we were playing in the state championship, Gloria looked at me and I looked at her and I was like, how are we sitting here? I really did think that. How in the world are we sitting here about to play in the state championship against a team that had only had 5 points scored on them all weekend? And I'm going, well, we'll just go for the experience. That's what we're going to do. It's just an experience. And like Mr. Bill said, we were down at halftime, and we came back and fought and won. And at the end of the game, I am teary-eyed about an AU basketball game. And I couldn't understand why, but those girls did exactly what I told them to do. They bought in, they fought, they competed. I know that I am the hardest person in the world to play for. My daughter can tell you. And a referee told me one time, he said, I have never quite seen someone so passionate about why basketball. And I said, well, you have to tell them exactly where to go, what to do, and how to do it at all times. And that's the way I coached. And how much fun I had doing it. But I go back to, when I think about those stories, I go back to the part of opportunity. My mom, Gloria, Jean, Michelle, Susan, Margie York, all those people gave us opportunities. And that's what we're trying to continue to do today. I know that everybody in this room, every single inductee can tell you that someone gave them an opportunity along the way. And we still have to continue to do that. Take that time. The Y programs that we are involved in and that we do every year are, yes, it's hard. Yes, sometimes you feel like you're herding cats. But at the end of the day, what we're doing is providing kids with opportunities that might not have them otherwise. And that's what I feel like is probably my most, not the points I scored, not the rebounds that I got, but I feel like my biggest contribution is the opportunities that I'm giving to kids because somebody gave me those opportunities a long time ago. And I was born into a family that loves sports. I mean, it was a no-brainer that I was probably going to like to play something. I'm a married baseball coach. Both my kids love sports. My dad and brother are already members of the Hall of Fame, but my family didn't teach me to compete. They taught me to love with a servant's heart. God asked us to be his hands and his feet, to be a servant for him. And I pray every day that my words and actions allow Christ to shine through me to others. I am honored to be standing in front of you tonight as an inductee in our community's Hall of Fame. Thank you to the community members for allowing me to be a part of this group. Thank you to my parents who are always there cheering us on. They have always been our biggest supporters. The amount of miles they put on their cars between Mike's freshman year in college and my senior year in college was, they probably needed to buy 3 cars. Thank you to the kids I've had the honor to coach. It isn't always easy to play for mama. And thank you to my husband Daniel, who has the same passion I do when it comes to providing every kid in this community an opportunity like we were given so many years ago. We are blessed to be in this town. And if you'd like was said earlier, if you've been somewhere else and you come back, you know how awesome this place is. Not everybody understands it unless you've been here, but that was the reason we came home 8 years ago, was to be here and to serve these kids. Thank you so much. I am truly honored.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please join me in giving a final nice round of applause to our class of 2022 inductees and student athletes. thank you very much for coming and being part of this special night. So very grateful. Thank you.